All right, well, hello viewers for the third episode of podCA5, the only podcast for you. Uh, yeah. Last episode, sorry, we just want to say sorry real quick. It was really, really bad. Really no planning.
That's kind of Jacob's fault.
Because of Jacob.
Very much Jacob's fault. But hopefully this week.
Suck your mom.
Anyway, hopefully this week it goes better. So today we have two guests on our show, both from year 12, Jacobo de Mesa and Amanda Jacobo.
Wow.
And today,
Let them introduce themselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ladies first.
As mentioned before, I'm Amanda Jacobo.
Yo.
Hello.
Jacob.
Yeah, I'm Jacobo, but you can call me Jacobo or Jacobo.
Si mi llamo Jacobo.
Jacobo.
What about Jacoby?
Anything you can pronounce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
John.
anything.
No way.
Jah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think most people will already know what we're gonna be talking about today. The big F word.
Oh man.
Big F word.
Wow.
Who's gonna say it?
Who's gonna be the first to
Who's a brave soul?
the brave one here?
Feminism.
Oh my
Oh my
god!
god. Yo. Yeah.
He got some bollocks.
No,
Okay, so-
guys, we're gonna be really open-minded about this. Seriously.
Polite.
Yeah.
I hope so.
And feel
Yeah.
free to rant. Go in as much as you want.
Yeah,
honestly.
As long as it makes sense.
Because I think we're not actually gonna have a debate. We're just sharing ideas, okay?
It's,
Because some of the boys here don't actually know what a girl is, so they need to know. They really
Romeo.
Yeah.
Hey, I did not respect. Haha.
Oh.
Sorry,
Yo.
what?
Dora.
All right. Let's just start with the questions then. To Amanda, and then
Jacoby can answer.
Sounds.
No,
Because
he
he's,
can
al-
answer. Let
he's
it-
also a
so we
diehard
get two
feminist,
views,
right?
you know?
I'm a diehard.
We get 2 point of views.
Yeah.
We get it from the male point of view, the female point of view. Okay, so let's start with the obvious question: what is feminism? What is it to you,
Mhm.
and to you, if you want, to Jacoby? So you can start.
Okay, well, for me, I think everybody has their own definition of what it is. And I think giving women the freedom to define it for themselves is also part of feminism. But for me, a feminist is a person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
Ooh.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Jacoby.
Yeah, I would agree to that. So it's just having men and women have the same opportunities in life.
Same opportunities.
Exactly.
So what would you say to a woman who, I guess, is scared of saying they're a feminist, if that makes sense?
Mhm.
Or just
I think-
aren't proud of saying, I'm a feminist.
I think some people are scared of calling themselves a feminist because they don't understand what it is. And also there's lots of people on social media who call themselves feminists but who really don't support the idea at all.
That's true.
So I think it's okay to be scared, but it's just you need to understand that it's a part of human rights. And I think also one thing, I'm kind of tracking off that question, but people always ask why call it feminism and not just human rights. But actually it's really important to emphasize the word feminism because calling it just human rights is denying the specific and a particular problem of gender and how women have been excluded over centuries. So,
Damn.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, we were not expecting this.
It's not a bad thing though.
Yeah, seriously, thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate you
You're
taking
lining
this
up
seriously.
our,
You're welcome.
Yeah.
podcast.
We've never gotten this serious before.
Yes.
Man. Wow.
Yeah.
Jacoby, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would
Also,
you
but
say
good
to
question.
What would you say to a young?
Yeah, so I think I don't have any notes prepared, but I just I just think feminism, as you said, everyone has their own definition of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can call myself a feminist, but then maybe you'd be like, oh no, that's not what a feminist is, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on what your definition is, and you shouldn't be scared of being a feminist with your own definition, if that makes sense, because
Yeah.
it's your own definition.
But it should also be open-minded and up for discussion. If people are like, well, actually, I kind of disagree with what you're saying,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be like, no, but this is the real feminist, you know?
Correct. So then do you think if someone said, oh, feminism for me is this, could you say, oh, no, it's not that?
No, I would say, oh, that's an interesting point of view, but I think you should also include this and that.
I mean, even feminists disagree
On what
amongst
it
each other,
actually-
right?
Yeah.
Like there'll be a group of feminists which are like anti-porn, for example. Like
Mhm.
they no, like genuinely, right?
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, they all agree that women are human beings who
I
deserve.
think everyone should agree.
Everyone, I mean, yeah, not just
Not
feminists.
just
Not just feminists. I agree. I think women are human beings, and they deserve to be treated the same way as men.
That's really big coming from you, Louis.
Yeah.
Oh.
Big statement.
We're just gonna take that.
What do you mean by that, Paul?
Nothing. That was just a joke. Yeah.
No, but I agree that there's like many different takes on feminism. Like, for example, there's a term called white feminism, which is basically just women who are not of color and they're just talking about the issues in their community. And it's actually, it doesn't take into account the problems that people who are, so women of color, they face extra prejudice just because of their skin tone. So I think it's important that feminism is intersectional, which means taking into account people of color and also disabled people. And feminism isn't only about women, it's also about men. And the fact that men get mad that feminism is about women just shows how like ridiculous men are, because everything has to include men. So, okay, I'm not like stirring up anything, but like seriously, people always say like, yeah, why is feminism? It's all about women. So it's like the fact that you can't take something that doesn't include you and your problems that aren't as big as these. It just shows more about you than the actual movement.
So are there any like common mistakes, I guess, that men would make trying to show the support of?
Well, there are many, but obviously I can't think of that many right now. But for example, well, this isn't very like, I don't think this is how men want to show support, but for example, catcalling. I think men who catcall, I mean women catcall as well, but when men catcall, they think, oh, I'm just complimenting this person, you know, I'm telling you to smile because it's so pretty, when really like feminism is all about choice and it's all about women doing what they believe they are allowed to do.
Just closing the door. Anyway, that's great, Amanda. Seriously. Please, like. Okay.
Adjusting.
Yeah.
No, what do you think men should do to support feminism? Like, how should they support the feminism movement?
Well, I think men feel uncomfortable calling themselves feminists. Guys, you seen us playing a video game?
Yeah.
No.
Show some respect.
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously, show some respect.
Come on.
No, but men are afraid to call themselves feminists because it's like, I don't know. I don't even know why men are afraid to call themselves feminists.
Well, because I think there's a lot of negative things associated to feminism, I think, and I think we can agree to that because some people, since everyone has their own definition, some of those definitions are
Yeah.
problematic. Like, for example, saying women are better than men. Some people think that is feminism, and so if I call myself a feminist, maybe people will think that's what I mean when it's not.
Alright, I'm gonna be honest and stop you there, Jacobo.
Go for it.
I
You
don't
see, he'll
believe-
join the chat.
I believe in this definition of feminism of everyone of equality between all genders. I believe in that.
Yeah.
But what I don't agree with is how everyone has their own definition. Because the way someone, I personally, in my opinion, right, I feel like the way a word is defined is how everybody uses the word. So if you only use the word feminism as whatever you might think it is, and everyone else uses it as what they think it is, well, it's just majority rule. If you get my point.
So what is the majority definition of
Equality.
feminism according to you?
Well, not according to me. It's just according to the majority.
Well,
Oh, if you want according to me, or do you want the majority?
No.
I believe in equality.
what do
just
you
like
think the majority thinks?
equality.
I'm not sure.
Then what do you think?
Well, no.
Feminism
Okay,
is
fine. Maybe the majority thinks that,
Okay.
but there are a lot of people who don't think that is what feminism means. And if you
Okay.
use the word feminism to describe yourself, and you don't agree with everyone who uses that word, well then that's problematic.
Yeah, that does create problems.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Could I also, I don't mean to like attack here, but I just wanted to mention that I think this is an issue with feminism, is that boys or men, they think that feminism is about femininity, and I think also choosing to support feminism is kind of a sign of femininity, and I think maybe, this is just my point of view, I may be wrong, maybe boys they don't want to be seen as feminine because they see that as something not so cool, or they just think it's something they don't want to be, when really it's not at all about femininity. And I think, yeah, that whole thing just needs to, there's just too much stigma around the word, and guys think it's embarrassing to be feminist, when it really isn't.
It's pretty easy to confuse when the word is feminism, which
Yeah,
literally
that's true.
which basically only relates to women. It doesn't relate to disabled people. It doesn't relate to people of color. If you really want it to sound like it should relate to other people, then change the name.
Yeah, well,
Wow, Ormil.
I'm so scared, bro.
Look, throw some balls, man.
This is gonna. Whoa.
Whoa.
Is that too
Yeah,
that's
seriously.
so-
Yeah, come on. Why can't women can't have balls?
Okay,
So why
okay.
Whoa.
Whoa. This is too bro.
to answer to Vermil's statement, that's why a really important word is intersectional feminism, which includes disabled people and people of color. So I think that's also what we need to look at, is the different types of feminism that people believe in. So yeah.
So, you're gonna respond to that?
No, I'm just gonna ask a new statement. What do you think of radical feminism?
Radical feminism. Well, I think radical feminism is one of the biggest ones that you can see on social media, and I think in many aspects it's in the word radical. So I think that's a big reason why that's a big reason why people are kind of scared of feminism, or it is very intimidating when it comes from a place of anger, I think. But I myself have not really been looking at radical feminist content, so I can't comment too far on that.
So what would you say to a woman in particular who isn't a feminist, who says I don't want to be a feminist, something like that?
Well, I think that again is someone's choice. You can't tell someone what they can or can't be, but I would maybe want to inform them on what feminism is and why I think it's important for them. But obviously I'm not gonna, if I'm a vegetarian, I'm not forcing people to be vegetarian. I'm just saying why it's good for the planet. So it's similar in feminism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, Amanda, I just gotta say, you're really answering these questions well.
Thank you.
Basically, before this, for the actual cast, we were cutting up little bits, but I think there's a whole episode can be used
For once.
for podcast,
For once.
for
I
cast.
mean, to
Yeah.
be fair, we've only had 3 episodes. so
Yeah.
it's fine.
So
Yeah.
thank you for taking this seriously. We
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Well, thank
Okay.
you for
Second
inviting
episode.
me.
Yeah.
So, we define feminism as equality in basically everything between men and female, right? Okay. So, we are do you think that there is any inequalities?
Of course there are.
What do you mean?
But what are?
Inequalities in any way? Like,
Of course,
for
yeah.
example, money or rights, stuff like that.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
And let's talk about here in Switzerland. Let's not talk about third world countries yet. Let's start here.
Yet.
And we'll get to that later, one step at a time. So, what inequalities do you think there are here in Switzerland?
Well, definitely social classes. I think there's discrimination between those who have more money, have more opportunities. And I mean, us being in a private school, that just proves that. And obviously there will always be discrimination against race, no matter what the country. I think there's a lot of inequality wherever you are, but a lot of the times I think you don't maybe notice it because I think we're all pretty privileged to be here. So we don't always notice the things that happen around us.
Okay, well, do you believe in the wage gap? In Switzerland, we're talking about Switzerland right now.
Okay, well, first of all, I don't think the wage gap is something to believe in. It's quite a proven fact that women, especially in certain careers, are paid less than men. But not just women. Obviously, there's so much to it. There's whether you're abled or disabled, it's where you come from and whether you've been born in the country you're working in. So I do believe that the wage gap is real.
Okay, so let's say we have the average UN citizen. I mean, UN worker, employee here in Switzerland. That's a male. And then we have the same ranking, same everything, but is a female. Do you think the male would receive more money per year than the female?
I think that is very present, yeah. I think that happens.
In Switzerland?
But that's illegal.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but I have heard that it is.
Guys, how about we just all get jobs and then we compare?
Experiment.
Yeah.
No, but where are you getting to? Like, what?
No, I'm just saying because I really I want to debunk some things about feminism because honestly I think I do really agree with equality and everything, but where I feel like the problem is when you try and go past it, where it's really just about females going more than males and trying to prove something that's really not there.
So give me an example of that.
Well, wage gap's a pretty good one.
What do you? Oh, women are like, we want to be paid more than men.
Okay, maybe not more, but like you get my point.
Well, no, I don't
think
actually.
The point is that they are paid the same.
Exactly.
So there is no
Like,
discrimination.
why are you
based
arguing?
on their sex.
Because they aren't paid the same. It has been proven statistically.
But it all
I
depends
don't
on
see-
how you look at the statistics because in general, women choose jobs that are paid less, like teaching or I don't know. I don't want to say
Teaching.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
no,
course,
no, no.
but that's
So
their
if
choice.
you look
Yeah.
at if you look at the amount, the salaries of women against men, you would see okay, women earn less, but that's not because they're discriminated against, just because they choose jobs that they want.
Yeah, of course, but the statistics that we look at, we're not looking like, oh, let's see what the male president gets compared to this woman dishwasher. I don't know, like you
No,
don't
of course
do
not.
that.
So
you
you
know, we
always have
obviously
to
look at
see,
the
but
same.
A man and a woman in the same job, doing the same things with the same abilities.
Yeah.
I would argue they're paid the same.
Yeah, well, I only want to talk about that with actual statistics in front of us.
That's true.
Because otherwise it's not debatable.
Amanda, are there any other inequalities between men and women that you can name? Like, I'm not asking you, like, it's not like trivia or anything. I'm just
Yeah, no.
Like,
what do you mean, like specific inequality?
like just some examples that, because like, to be honest, I don't want to sound like ignorant or anything, but I don't see for the most part like women getting treated like that much worse than men. But that's just from
But then
what
it's
that's
like
just
what she
Yeah.
said. We live in we're really
Yeah.
privileged. We live in
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
So I think
We live in
what she's
Geneva,
asking
like-
is like,
Yeah.
what problems would feminism fighting today in Switzerland?
Feminism
Like, what are the problems, basically?
in Switzerland specifically. Well, in Switzerland, like I mentioned previously, all the discrimination that happens around us. But I think, again, it is a little bit problematic because in order to be intersectional, it needs to actually involve people who are of a different race and also of different gender. So it's hard to say that we have the biggest problems in the world. But if we're talking about day-to-day examples, there's so many that we don't even think about as discrimination, and you might think like, oh, but that's just something dumb, it's so small. And it might be, but it still affects us, but maybe it doesn't affect us as much because we're so used to it. But there are day-to-day things like expectations and stereotypes, especially like between teacher and student. You know, a student might pick on a boy specifically just because, I don't know, of the expectations that she has. So it's not just discrimination against women, but also against men.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a question from earlier. The one of the wages being paid differently, right? Okay, so if you were a CEO of like a big company, right? Would you rather hire
a man or a man or a woman, because women tend to go on maternal leave,
Mhm.
and that's unpaid work, which is kind of what you don't want.
Mhm.
So do you think that they should hire men?
Economics
Or-
question.
Do you think that they should hire men because of that fact?
I think we have to take into account that there's not only maternity, there's also paternity. So it's just as equally a risk to hire either. And I think you shouldn't favor between male and woman. You just take the one that's more qualified.
But what if they're qualified the same?
Well, then,
pregnancy is cheaper.
well, I haven't been in this situation, so I can't really say. But I think either way, you don't really.
It'll just come to the person hiring.
I mean, you don't have to be in the situation to know if really the whole purpose of a business is to make money, is it not, or to create
Mhm.
revenue for the product.
Wait,
But
so
I
that's
mean,
can I
if
just
you
say-
lower production cost, which is workers or labor, which is women, well then why not just basically have 100% of your company women? You know?
That's a valid point, but I think the maternity leave isn't a reason for you to not hire someone, because you never know what their choice might be, because they might be married to a wife, and then that woman will stay on maternity leave, but she's working somewhere else, or the husband will take the paternity leave, so you can't judge based on that.
Mm-hmm.
But you agree that
But
for some jobs, maybe it would be better to have a man or a woman based just on the sex,
what?
on their sex, for example.
I mean, yeah, if you're specifically looking for one gender, then okay.
Well, no,
Like-
because that gender
Okay,
or
for
sex
like
would be
construction work.
yeah, that's what I was
That's it.
thinking.
He doesn't want to say it, but for construction work, for
Mhm.
example, you're more likely to hire men to do construction work than women.
Because physically, sex, just biology.
Not being
No, the
sexist,
thing
not
is-
being.
No,
it's-
it's the pure facts though.
it's
It's putting
facts.
straight
Right.
facts.
Straight
Like
facts.
like it's
I don't
it's
wanna
no
be mean,
discrimination.
but
It's
yeah.
just pure science.
Biologically, yes, but that depends on every individual. So I think you
Yeah,
have to
that's
really judge by the individual, not just just because she's a girl, I don't think we
No.
should hire her.
Okay.
But I
That-
get what you mean.
That makes sense though.
Yeah. So judging by the individual.
Yeah, and then if it comes down to they're both qualified for the exact same job, who would you hire? If they're both qualified, they both have like the same stats.
I don't think I came here to answer
Yeah.
that question.
Seriously,
Yeah.
we're getting a bit off topic.
Yeah,
we're
that's true,
asking
that's
you
true.
about feminism, not
No,
about
I
who you
would-
would hire. So
I think. Okay.
Yeah. But like, okay. Here's another question. What do you? None of us associate with this. I don't think, at least. But what do you think of meninism?
Mention it.
Yeah.
What?
Meninism.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Equality.
Okay, well, well, the whole point of feminism is to bring women to the same level as men. So I think, I mean, okay, start your own movement, but there's no need for meninism. I just think that they're already they have already so many more rights than women in general that I think, I don't know, I want to hear why, but without
wouldn't
an
know why.
explanation, it's just
Because men also have issues, as you've said.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, of course.
So I think having a movement for men's issues in specific, does also help. Just like
Mhm.
feminism is more focused on women's issues and bringing women.
Well, it is, but it does include men as well. So I think starting a meninism, then you'd ask, okay, well, does this include women's problems? So it's a bit problematic to just start, that's why feminism is now including more everybody's issues. So I think starting meninism is kind of saying, oh, feminism isn't good enough for us, kind of thing. But I do understand that you want your problems to be heard as well. But I think that's the whole point of intersectional feminism. Like I've probably already said quite a lot of times, but yeah.
So what?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tamara.
What has feminism done for men?
What has feminism done for men?
Yeah,
Pretty good question.
Yeah,
Well-
really good question.
because we know higher suicide rate, higher mortality rate during work,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think dying is a good thing.
No, it's not.
No,
think it
definitely. Feminism, it discusses things such as toxic masculinity, which does lead to suicidal thoughts and thinking that you need to be strong and all these stereotypes that are enforced on men. So I think, obviously, a lot of issues haven't been resolved, but feminism is working on debunking how men should also be treated as any normal emotional human being, and that they are allowed to be emotional and they are allowed to feel things that everybody should feel.
Yeah, like the stereotypes. They're trying to like get over the stereotypes over men. You know, men
Yeah,
have to be, you know, they have to be like tough. They have to like get over stuff.
exactly. They
Okay.
need to be the strong ones.
Yeah, yeah. That's really good. Yeah.
Should women celebrate International Men's Day? I mean, you don't have to answer, by the way. You don't have to answer
Yeah,
any
yeah,
of these
yeah.
questions.
Yo,
It's just-
these are really good
it's
questions, Louis.
You can
It's just like,
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's illegal for women to celebrate Men's Day, International Men's Day. But for me personally, like, okay, you know, you're allowed to celebrate your day, but for me it doesn't mean as much to what it means to women. Not just because I'm a woman, but just because I've seen the different problems we have, and I think it's not as big of an issue. But I have nothing, I mean, go
Mhm.
ahead, you know.
Yeah, because like, I don't know. Okay, so just so you know, I do agree that men, have in general they have more rights than women, but I would also say that men are also a bit discriminated in some senses. Like just like Jacobo has said before. So like, yeah, of course, it's like, yeah, all of us boys, we all love supporting National Women's Day, and that's a fact. We're all very enthusiastic about it. But like, I would say that it should be the same with women's towards Men's Day. But like the thing is, we are aware that Men's Day, I'm gonna be real, no one cares. Like no one cares. Literally.
tragic.
The only time tragic. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
guess it
do you
is.
know why Men's
Wait.
Day? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I
like-
feel like Men's Day is very important, but really no one.
Yeah.
no one, I don't think people realize
Can
what.
I sorry,
Yeah,
sorry. Can I just say something? I think a really good comparison to like between Women's Day and Men's Day is how there's the Pride parade and then there's Straight parade. And I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a very
Okay,
good comparison.
Yeah, okay, that straight parade is just it's
That's
actually
dumb, bro.
yeah, come on. You can't be serious when you're
So
doing
I
that.
think it obviously
Yeah.
depends who's talking, but
Uh-huh.
for me that's the same thing as having a Men's Day. But that doesn't mean that I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, men should not be celebrated, men are horrible. I think that's also what a lot of people see like badly in feminism. They think that, oh, women, like the feminists hate men, they don't want anything to do with men, they want to be above men. Like that's not at all what it is. So I think that's also why we should include men more in feminism.
Yay.
Right, Lloyd, can you just explain why we have Men's Day? Just to the
Okay,
viewers.
well, I'm not a history student
Historian.
or thank you, historian. But from what I know, it's to celebrate because at a point in time, I don't remember the correct dates. There was an increase in suicide rates of men, and it was also because of the fact that men fought in the wars. So it's just to celebrate the fact that a lot of men were dying, and
To raise
well,
awareness.
not
also.
celebrate that men were dying, but
Raise
raise awareness, and to I guess appreciate our fathers and
Soldiers.
and soldiers. That's what I know about Men's Day, but I'm not a historian.
Mm.
I'm a big wrong though.
No, in that aspect, I think it's very important. But I think a lot of people saw it as a rebuttal against
Yeah.
International Women's Day, so that's why there was a lot of negative feedback on it. That's why people were like, "Oh no, what the hell is International Women's Day?" So
I'm pretty sure it came first. But that's a
No,
discussion
but
for
the thing
another
is,
day.
the fact that it came first and not at the same time, that's like the problem.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
on
No,
that,
it's
that's
because
a good
men, we celebrated Men's Day, yeah, as you said, but also because of World War II and all the people that lost their lives. It says here,
Ooh, research.
Yeah,
research.
75 million people died
And the
in
whole.
World War II.
Wait, including or excluding the Holocaust?
Okay, this is
Probably.
becoming
Me.
a history lesson.
Probably.
What was your question?
Yeah, probably.
75
No.
million.
I was just gonna ask. What's your opinion on IL not celebrating Wednesday?
Men's or women's?
Men's Day.
Men.
They didn't celebrate it last year. They didn't.
Oh, yeah.
celebrate it.
Well, we're not gonna celebrate it any year.
They're,
to be
never
honest.
gonna
Yeah,
celebrate it. It's just like, get over it.
But do you
bro.
think they should? Do you think they should?
I think if they defined it as why they want to celebrate it and what's the reason behind it, then I think maybe people would take it more into account. But for now, like for me, for example, what you just told me, I didn't know that at all. I just thought it was, ooh, men are amazing, you know? So I think that's why it needs to be told more so that people actually understand what it's about.
But in my opinion, if you're celebrating it just in spite of Women's Day, that's the
That's
wrong way.
wrong.
That's
Very
wrong.
wrong.
Seriously. Like, but if you're doing it for an actual reason, like you have been discriminated against because you're a man. I'm not saying that happens to everyone. It happens to basically no one. But like, it does happen. It does happen. Please, please, it does happen.
Calm down, man.
And so like, if you're a victim of that, like then you should be able to celebrate it without like feeling bad or anything. Or, yeah.
Definitely.
Because the thing is, like, I don't want. Please, I do support feminism. I promise you. But like, I'm telling you, like, there are men who are discriminated against, right? And that's different from straight pride. Because if you're straight, no one no one discriminates against you, basically. So.
That's very true as well.
Thanks.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you the seven most searched questions about feminism on Google.
It's a wired episode.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's wired.
Wired.
It's
Yeah.
wired. It's wired.
And
But they'll sue
we
us.
want to see how you and Jacoby as well, answer the questions. And you don't have to answer the questions. And some of them are really weird. So okay. The first question: why are feminists so angry?
Well,
Good job, Vic.
what I think is that they have the right to be angry, especially if they're fighting for what I think they're fighting for. As we said before, people label themselves as feminists, but they're after something else. But I mean, not having the right to exist the way men do. Just as an example, if I can say, during the night, most of the time, men can just walk around. It's fine. But women have to constantly be afraid that something's going to happen to them. They're so much more vulnerable to anything, especially at nighttime, not let alone during the day when they're being harassed on the streets. So I think, it has to be taken into account that they have a right to be angry. And yeah.
Yeah. I also think people think that feminists are always angry because what the media portrays is always
the
radical. The radical part of feminism, which I think does paint feminism in a bad light because it makes people think they're always angry. But
That's true
Amanda's
as well.
not always angry, for example. So.
I feel like
Sorry.
every strong-willed woman is just titled with the term feminist.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
true
that,
as well.
that's a stereotype that we need to overcome.
Also, one thing I want to say, wait. Oh yeah, so I think also when there is a woman who talks about feminism, I think the first thing that we say is like, whoa, calm down, like you're going way out of line. And I think that it's kind of ridiculous that women have to kind of make themselves small and reduce themselves and talk in a nice tone so that people actually agree with them and are like, good point. So I think it also has to be taken into account that just because they're speaking in that tone doesn't mean that what they're saying doesn't have value and actual, importance.
Okay, so next question: do feminists hate men?
No, they don't.
Nice.
Most people who would call themselves feminists don't hate men, but I do think some women who are radical feminists and define feminism as being better than men dislike men or hate men because of what they've done to women over past generations.
Definitely there are women who hate men, but there's also men who hate women.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I think that has, in most cases, that doesn't really have much to do with feminism, but that does occur in some certain areas of feminism that people like to call themselves.
What do you think of? Okay, this isn't one of the questions, but I'm sure you've heard of the term feminazi.
Yeah.
What is your response to that term? Like, what does it make you feel?
It just makes me feel really disgusting, to be honest, because feminists are like fighting for equal rights, and to compare them to Nazis who literally massacred a bunch of Jewish people because of their religion, that has nothing to do with feminism. And I think that's such a big thing that like, it angers me so much because it's like, wow, you disrespect us so much that you would compare us to something so horrible.
Yeah.
So I think it's just so disrespectful, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Third question. Wait. Yeah. Why do feminists not shave?
Okay, well, being a feminist doesn't mean that, oh, I'm not gonna shave, you know? I think everybody has their own reasons to either shave or not shave, and whatever they do with their body hair is completely up to them. So yeah, I wouldn't say all feminists don't shave, but I think a lot of people that I've heard that don't shave in the name of feminism is because they're like, oh, women are allowed to have body hair, you know, shown just as much as men are, which is cool, and I think everybody should respect that.
Because men usually don't have to like shave their they don't have to shave the armpit hair.
Yeah, exactly.
So why should women?
Exactly.
Jacoby, do you
Yeah,
have any?
no.
Okay. Does a feminist have to be a female?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, that was
Nope.
pretty obvious.
By the end of this episode, I mean, by now, we're probably all feminists. Isn't
yeah,
that
we're
right,
all
guys?
feminists, especially Ramil.
Yeah, I'm radical feminist actually.
But Ramil, you're still thinking, you're still treating it like a joke, and that's the problem. Like, nothing
You're
is
part of the problem.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously.
What's
Yeah.
wrong with treating it
One
like
of
a
too
joke?
many problems. I don't care.
I guess.
What's wrong with treating it as a joke?
It's
Yeah.
okay treating it as a joke if everybody's into the joke, but if you're
Yeah.
making a joke out of people who are not allowed to exist without being harassed or treated wrongly, then I don't think it's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed, but everyone here is laughing. I don't think Ramil cares. So I mean.
No,
yeah,
no,
it's-
no,
it's
no,
very
it's
fun.
not that I don't care
When the
about
sunglasses
feminism.
on, he doesn't care.
It's not that I don't like. No. It's not that I don't care about feminism. No.
No, I mean like the joke is
Like,
what I'm talking
yeah, but like we were all saying in the joking term. There isn't anyone here who would get offended,
about. Exactly.
so it's okay.
Actually, there's another of my personal questions. Does feminism affect the person? Like, okay, if I'm a feminist, if I'm a woman, I'm a feminist. Will it affect my work if I'm a CEO of something or something like that?
Wait, interesting point. Why did you straight away say, I'm a woman, I'm a feminist?
Shit.
Oof.
No, because
Don't.
next question, right?
I think it is an interesting question. If a public person says I'm a feminism, do you think they could
I'm a
receive?
feminist.
I'm
No,
a
yeah,
feminist,
sorry, yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a feminist. Do you think they could receive backlash or
Of course.
hate, and because of that they wouldn't do it? I think that's his question.
I think,
Yeah.
feminists
cut it off if
do face backlash no matter if you're famous or not, or where you work. But, I mean, obviously if you're in a safe space where everybody's openly feminist, then I think it doesn't really affect the way people perceive you. But I think definitely as a public speaker, like before, many people have different images of what feminism is, so.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Do feminists get married?
Obviously, I mean, like
So my
feminism
questions.
feminism
Yeah,
isn't
questions.
hating men, as said previously. So yes, they do get married, but also they get married to whoever they want. So
What does a feminist believe in? Okay, it's pretty obvious.
well, yeah, I think we answered that previously.
Okay. And the final question: will feminism hurt your career? Oh yeah, that's what I asked.
Yeah.
Basically, in a sense, will feminism hurt your career?
Well, yeah, like I said previously, it depends in what space you're working in, because I think a lot of people who are celebrities or on social media are very much discriminated for what they believe in, no matter if it's feminism or anything else. So, yeah.
What are your thoughts on prostitution?
Sorry, what?
What are your thoughts on prostitution?
Prostitution.
Normal question.
Yeah.
Prostitution.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah,
it's
so
fine.
good.
No,
Yeah.
it's actually a serious question.
Mhm.
Bit awkward.
This is very mature.
Talking about sex.
Oh my
Anyway, yeah.
god.
Gross,
Anyway.
gross.
Um,
My mom is gonna get so mad.
Okay, well, first of all, you never know why someone is a prostitute, so you cannot judge them. You cannot judge them for being a prostitute, because it could either be, oh, I really want to be a prostitute, but in most cases, it's not the case. Most of the time, it's because you need to earn money, or it's just a way for you to get back on your feet, whatever it may be. But I think I've had a debate with Jacobo about this before, but I think I obviously don't know much about the topic, but I think from what I've heard, it would be important to legalize it, because in that way, if a prostitute is in danger, then they will be actually helped by the police. Whereas if it's illegal, then no matter what happens to them, even if, you know, the worst case, they get killed, nothing will be done for them or their family.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, damn.
Yeah. No, seriously. Wow. This is a mind-blowing experience for me. Like,
I'm glad.
No. This is literally like before I was like, yeah, feminism is like, yeah, it's good.
Cool.
But like now I really understand it. Seriously, Amanda.
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, you guys
No,
can now
yeah.
call me a feminist from now on.
Wow, loud and proud.
Yeah.
Feminist.
No, I'm really glad. Yeah. I have a little story.
Yes.
No. Yes, please. Yes.
Okay,
Story
no.
time.
Okay, it's not really a story. Don't get too excited.
An anecdote.
Yeah, okay, so
Higher level English.
shout out to oh wait, no, sorry, I'll do that at the end. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to talk about harassment in more detail. Basically, okay, I was like really nervous to talk about this because it's really weird and it still like makes me feel kind of gross.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll stay respectful if it gets too much. Like, yeah.
Basically, over the summer, I was touched without my consent, and the people who carried out the act saw it as a joke, and it wasn't. Well, yeah, you wouldn't say it was such a big deal, but I just think that being a bystander in a situation, as there was a bystander, I think you have the immediate responsibility to act when you see something happening and to speak up and say that's not okay. Even if your friends are carrying out the act and you're like, oh, funny joke, you know, touch her, whatever, you know, I think boys also need to like stand up for each other and say, you know, that's not cool, like that's really not funny at all. Like for me, it made me feel really gross, and it just kind of ruined the way I see some people. And I also want to say that it's kind of tragic to see that even today some girls have so little self-esteem that they'd rather play along with the joke of people who are actually harassing someone just to get their attention or be on the same level rather than help their friend being visibly harassed. So
Wow.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to say that.
Yeah, that
so.
does take a lot of
Yeah,
courage.
yeah.
Like honestly,
Mm-hmm.
good on you for
Yeah, seriously.
coming out and saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people should be more like you. Honestly, I'm genuinely being serious.
Yeah.
I feel like if there's any other anyone else in the year or just anyone in general who has been like harassed or violated or just in any way insulted, they shouldn't feel like they can't come out and tell the story like Amanda just did. And
Yeah.
and to you, mister, if I ever find out who you are,
Yeah, get ready for a knuckle sandwich.
we have beef now, man. We have beef. We got beef. Wow.
yeah, but also I think it is the choice of the person who has experienced something, whether they want to talk about it or not.
Yeah.
Well, did you tell him that he was going too far and you're like, stop or whatever? Or?
Well, I think this is my way of telling him, but I did kind of say it, but I don't think he took it seriously. And I'm scared that people are going to think I'm overreacting.
No.
Because it seems like a stupid thing, but it really affected me, and it made me feel like shit. Sorry for the profanity.
No, it's okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I really hope he hears this
Yeah, I hope so too.
and comes out and apologizes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Me Too movement. Oh yeah, what do you think with the Me Too movement?
I'm not going to discuss that in this
Yeah,
podcast.
Alright.
So,
Wow, this has been a
Yo.
crazy episode.
Dude, this is really this is really important. This is content right here. And I'm not saying this just for like abuse or stuff, but this is like important. This this is really important. This is more than just like a few friends joking around. Like this will change your perspective. So
Alright, so
And it'll also bring in female viewers.
Wait.
So
okay.
Sorry.
No, you guys.
In all seriousness, I want to shout out my really cool friend Tara and my radical friend Chloe. Follow her on Instagram. Chloe instead of an O, 0 JC.
I'm sure to do that right now.
And Lizzie, Liz Grievous. And Sophia. Yeah, you get the point.
yeah,
we can tag them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
we
let's
put it
take
on the podcast Instagram.
yeah.
Follow it. Oh,
Yeah,
follow
it's
following it.
PODCA and 5 because there's 5 people doing the podcast.
Good one, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ramil, what were you gonna say?
That's it.
Oh, that's it. Okay, guys, thank you for watching this podcast. This has been the most
No, no
important
jokes.
episode to date. Probably.
No, man, go on.
Okay, so really, thank you guys for meeting you, and thank you more than anyone else, Amanda.
Yeah.
Seriously, you came so prepared. We were not expecting this. You really shaped the way we think. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks-
you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's no problem. Thanks, Jacobo, as well, for being here. Seriously, thank you. Catch us on the next episode.
Wait.
And before we end, tradition, dead jokes. Ramil has one.
Bro,
it's good.
Yeah.
Okay, why is Peter Pan always flying?
Why?
He never lands.
Okay, thanks for listening. Until next episode.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.